All right, we're live. Texans fall to the Kansas City Chiefs. Some would say they lose. I would say they won. Probably the best game of the year for the Texans. Honestly, if I had to power rank the best games of the year, I would say this was the best showing. I would say this was the best result. I would say there was a near nightmare, but they ended up losing 30-24. Showed up, played well, a lot of encouraging things. Best game of the season from Davis Mills, if you ask me, although it didn't end well, but you got to pick and choose with Davis Mills. The secondary, we've talked about them a lot. The secondary continues to show toughness. And from like a more meaningful NFL perspective, because let's be honest, the Texans are they're not meaningful when it comes to what's going to go down the stretch. I thought the Texans beat the Chiefs' ass physically. I thought physically the Texans just roughed them up to the point where you saw the Chiefs at times begging for flags after getting tackled hard. You saw Mahomes do it. You saw the running back do it. I don't know whether it was McKinnon or someone else. You saw Travis Kelce whine his way into a personal foul because Desmond King, who, by the way, I talked to in the locker room afterwards, as well as Tremont Smith, kind of whined his way a little bit. Travis Kelce. Kansas City's not physical, and the Houston Texans aren't known for being one of the more physical teams in the NFL. But if you just took me and you put me in that press box and you had blank jerseys and you didn't tell me who was who and what I was supposed to think, I would have walked away saying, yeah, that team in red seems a little bit better, but the team in red and blue and navy, they were the more physical team, and I thought they beat their ass physically. So good result. A win would have been very costly and made things very interesting, but the Texans lose. Good showing. And I don't see any I really don't see any negatives with the way that went down. Let's see what my boys got to say. They join me every week for the post-game show. Mike Meltzer. What a sweater, Mike. That is your look.
I appreciate that.
Sweater, you should be buying more sweaters than anyone. That is your look right there.
So this is my look.
Yes,
this is my look.
T-shirt, the T-shirt that looks like maybe you should get a size larger and looks like got some bacon neck and all that you always try to pull off. No, okay. You should be a sweater guy. Looking sharp.
I'll take that under advisement. I trust your fashion advice.
Well,
Hello, Cody.
But how you doing, Cody Stutes? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
What did you guys think? My biggest takeaway from this game is I think it was the best. I think it was their best performance of the year. I think the result was perfect. And beggars can't be choosers. Obviously, we can nitpick and we can talk about some frustrating things. It comes with the territory of being the worst team in the NFL, at least record-wise. But as far as the result, as far as the effort, you can call it a moral victory. That's fine. It's a tangible victory because they got the loss and they still have the number one pick. I thought this was the best game of the season for the Texans.
Yeah, I'd love to be in a position to where I'm rooting for wins, but I think it's hard to do that given how close they are to the number one overall pick. I thought they outplayed Kansas City, and I thought it was a really strange effort by the Chiefs. Landry, you mentioned that it seemed like the Chiefs, who are one of the best teams in the league, they have the best player in the NFL, the best quarterback, and they're sitting here like complaining for calls. I thought they played a fairly soft game, and I thought whatever the hell Andy Reid was doing at the end of regulation was totally perplexing.
Was arrogant. That was either arrogant, stupid, or dumb.
Yeah, like, Andy, do you realize your kicker is no longer good? Because that is the evidence right there. So I don't know what the hell they were doing settling for a 51-yard field goal attempt. That was a bizarre sequence of plays. And I thought the Texans, they forced a couple turnovers like they did last week. I thought Davis Mills played reasonably well, minus the fumble in overtime. They ran the ball decently with Royce Freeman specifically. And, the problem was that they couldn't really get Kansas City off the field. But to be fair, on their own offense, like, how many conversions did the Texans have, either by penalty or their own conversion? Like, they hung in this game a lot longer than I thought they would have.
This is the type of effort that if Lovie Smith has to explain why he should be the head coach of the Texans next year, he's going to point to this game and the performance from this game. Missing, eight starters, 6 starters, something like that.
I think
Missing
6.
a ton of key players off of this team. Lovie Smith's going to point to this game as one of the reasons why he should remain the head coach of the Houston
And I'm going to
Texans.
say let's not overdo it, Coach.
I'm just telling you what this game is going to be viewed like in the building and how he would approach it, because this team played a solid enough defensive performance. This team overcame some issues with key players being out on offense to move the football. They even kind of took advantage of some of the opportunities, kind of didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities, but they played a pretty darn good game when you put the context of this is a lost season for them. It's a lost season for a lot of those players. They were missing even some of the talented players that they do have on the team. And when you put that context on it, Lovie Smith gets an attaboy and gets a kudos and gets a good job. There's still some issues within that game from the head coach spot that I wasn't in love with, but
we can get to those.
Lovie Smith,
right off the top, what was your issue?
You go for it on 4th and 1. I understand
4th and 1, the punt. Sean Pendergast was pissed about that.
They're up. They're up in that moment. You go for it on 4th and 1. You try to extend that drive. You give your offense another opportunity. That was my biggest gripe. And Lovie Smith, and I tweeted it at the time. I said, Lovie Smith's going to tell you he was going to trust his defense and he thought they were playing well. Post game, like clockwork, boom. Was going to trust my defense, thought they were playing well. That's great. You made the wrong decision. Patrick Mahomes drove the ball 92 yards on your ass. And that's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. So I don't care if my defense is playing good. Eventually your defense isn't going to play good against those guys. You've got to score points. And 4th and 1, with the success that they'd had, running the football with the quarterback last week, at this point in the game, they had not, just totally ruined the Driscoll thing where it's useless. Some of the running backs that you do have there, Royce Freeman looked like a nice player. He's been with this organization for over a year. I don't know why it's taken this long to get him some opportunities on the field. That was my number one Lovey beef. My other Lovey beef was with 8 seconds, try to get into field goal range for Kaimi Fairbanks, the guy that's made a 61-yard field goal in that building, and try to get into field goal range. And yes, I know that it's very difficult to do that because the Chiefs will play that shell and they'll try to keep you from getting out of bounds. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. What if
it's not crazy.
What if you get a penalty? The Chiefs were so undisciplined today. What if you get a penalty? They should have tried to use that 8 seconds that they had left at the end of the game to try to get into field goal range. And those are my 2 big gripes with Lovie Smith from the headset spot.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I thought there were a couple, like if we want to nitpick, and we do, if we want to treat it like a normal game, like if the Texans and Chiefs had the same record, like what would I be complaining about? Because I do think that's like our mindset's completely different. But if I was watching this game and I was trying to, and you have a whole different feel and you have a whole different outlook, I would say bringing in Driscoll on when the Texans were trailing 24-21, and it was kind of clear that the Driscoll cat wasn't working and Davis Mills was playing as good as he had. I thought bringing in Driscoll on first down was it was a borderline drive killer, especially with the play that you ran where you ran to the left and I think he lost 2 yards or something like that. If we're going to nitpick, and I don't know that I'm even going to nitpick Pep Hamilton because I think we're going to be done with him after this year. I thought that was kind of last week I thought he had really good feel for this situation. And we all knew there was probably a limited shelf life to this 2 QB thing because teams were going to prepare for it. But I thought that just that specific decision, I thought that was kind of a drive killing type decision where just let me see what Mills is going to do and let me see how he's going to handle the situation.
I agree. Let him try to get something going. He had a couple of successful passes. And certainly one of those on that drive that was kind of like look at the play he made type thing. And Royce Freeman had run the football really well that drive. And so to go to Driscoll just totally upset the rhythm of your offense. We hear so much about these offensive guys. It's rhythm, it's rhythm, it's rhythm, it's rhythm. Yeah, okay, well, don't upset the rhythm and just do something to do something. It hadn't worked. At that point in the game, you're averaging like 2 yards a carry or 2 yards of play when Driscoll's in there. Brooks Camino was keeping the stats of that as it was in there. Like, adjust on the fly as that's failing. That's the disappointing part with, like, not being able to just see that and adjust that. And if you're Lovie Smith, Like he starts to run Jeff Driscoll in there. Hey, coach, no, leave Mills in there. Run the football. Let's go. Let's go. You're the head coach. You can step in a moment like that.
So I'm looking at this. Which drive was that, Landry, specifically?
24 to 21, right before they kicked a field goal to tie at 24.
It's the Texans' last scoring drive.
Yeah, so it was 24 to 21. I think they were inside the 20, maybe even inside the 15.
They lost. Yeah, that's right. You know what?
They ran it to the left. They ran it to the left down.
Yeah, the play was first and goal for a 1-yard loss.
And it was not like it was first and goal at the 2. It was first and goal at the 9, which I think informs your thought, because even if you somehow get like 5 yards, which is a very successful run, like, all right, we're second goal at the 4-yard line. I think where you are in that first and goal informs that criticism. And
I think that kind of like it's also, when you're watching a game with a team that you borderline want to lose, which, by the way, even with all that said, when Davis Mills fumbled, I did at least have, the feeling, like a small feeling of like disgust that you would typically have if you were if winning was the main goal and the main priority. So I did have that. It went away. But yeah, those are the types of things. The Driscoll cat. Look, I think the Driscoll thing, it worked for a little bit, but I mean, I think it's about done.
Kansas City was absolutely and totally ready for it by the time it was shown a couple of times. I mean, that's not some joke of a defensive coordinator over there. They got a lot of experience over there.
I think the big thing is, so they're when we think about this in terms of the big picture, if you're running this modified 2-quarterback system to try to find any conceivable way,
what if they try to make that their thing? What if that's their new system?
This is 3 more games of this, and then they have a real quarterback.
I don't even know if it's 3 more games, honestly. I think it's going to be toned down.
Well, that's my question. Like, if you thought Davis Mills could be something at quarterback, you wouldn't even think about doing something like this, right?
Right.
Even if it gave you a 5% chance more to win an individual football game, you wouldn't do this.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I think at some point you do want to like see Davis Mills in every situation. Now, I'm not saying you're assessing him to be the guy next year, but
you're assessing him to be a backup.
Yeah, so I mean, your backup. Yes. I mean, backup quarterbacks play games. Which, by the way,
he was one of the best red zone quarterbacks in football last year, and you hadn't got him in the red zone a bunch of times this year. So when you get in the red zone, why don't let's see what the guy's got?
By the way, would you guys like some good news right now?
Yes.
So the Denver Broncos are on top of the Cardinals 24-9, which means that one more loss by the Texans locks up the number 2 pick.
Okay.
So you will be assured that if you lose one of your final 3, which is all 3 division opponents, you will have at least the number 2 pick. And if you want to take it a step further, the only team that has a chance to get the number 1 pick still, I believe, is Chicago. And I don't think Chicago is going to take a quarterback, although I could see a trade back if they got it. So the magic number is 2. The magic number is 2 against Chicago. Any combination of Texans losses and Chicago wins, you wrap that up. And with Denver, it's 1. Any combination of Texans wins and Chicago losses. Never thought I would have to do magic numbers like that, but here we fucking are.
Chicago, by the way, hosts Buffalo on next Saturday. Then they're at the Lions, and they finish up home Minnesota.
So there you go.
They could win that last game because I don't think Minnesota's going to have anything to play for.
Derrick Henry, by the way, Saturday.
Oof. Merry Christmas.
The biggest Texans killer ever. They should honestly, I mean, that should be what they try to, they shouldn't even like try to win. They should just like, their goal should be, let's hold him under 120. Like, make like a realistic goal. Let's hold this guy under 120.
I think that's fair.
Maybe.
As far as Mills goes, I got into a bunch of weird arguments with these idiots on Twitter after the game, but he has played better in these last 2 games after being benched. Unquestionably.
Yes, he has.
Statistically, his QBR
what was the argument? What was the argument?
Jordan Pun, who I like. Jordan tweeted that the fumble in overtime, I'm really paraphrasing here, is a reflection of a lack of mental toughness on behalf of Davis Mills. And so I said, I feel like that's searching for a narrative. It's a bad play. You can't fumble. I don't think Davis Mills fumbled on that play because he's not mentally tough. And I've gotten attacked by probably the dumbest people in this city over that statement, acting like I am defending Davis Mills.
Mike Meltzer, capo in the Mills Mafia.
How do you measure that though? Like, how do you measure like the?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't even really want to give that too much thought. It seems like a dumb argument, but
here's how you measure that. The guy was trying to make a damn play because nobody could get open, and they have the two best wide receivers hurt, and they only have 3 active wide receivers, and the rest of the guys that catch the damn ball at tight ends. Guy's trying to make a friggin' play. That's how you measure that.
Okay, there you go.
He fumbled. It happens.
Yeah, he fumbled. It happens. Trevor Lawrence had a similar fumble against Dallas, but he got lucky because his defense made a stop, and they got the ball back. And I'm not saying that Davis Mills is Trevor Lawrence, obviously, but I'm comparing the plays. It was just a bad play. You got to secure the football. We know that.
Very, very much so. Let's get to some of the comments. We'll keep this going. Which are you more concerned about, Texans' choice with the number 1 draft pick or new head coach? Concerned?
Way more
I would say
concerned about the head coach.
Yeah,
head coach. It's
hard. It's hard to screw up. Like, even if you don't do what I want you to do, which is take a quarterback. I mean, I'm not gonna like be overly like pissed off if you trade or if you get, I mean, yeah, head coach, 100%. You agree, Stutes?
Head coach for sure. Way more worried about the head coach decision because that drastically affects the number 1 overall pick.
Someone says, what do you think about Christian Harris? He's making a lot of plays, but he's making a lot of mistakes. He's running his ass off. I'm a big fan
maybe
of
his
him.
best game. 3 tackles for loss. He had a quarterback hit. He had one nice play along the sideline to stop a guy short of the sticks. Obviously, you see the mistakes there, but this was one of those games where you would look at and say, okay, this is why they like him. This is why they picked him in the 3rd round.
Well, and I also think, if you look at the rookies, obviously Stingley is going to be the most polarizing. And I don't – look, he didn't play as many games as you thought he would. And when he was out there, it was clear that Sauce Gardner was having a better rookie season. But if the Texans were in the mix, I think Dameon Pierce plays maybe in a week or 2. He was still limping. I saw him in the locker room.
Yeah, he's hurt.
He's hurt. He's got Crocs on and stuff, but I don't think he's like 4 weeks hurt. I think that's more caution. I think he would probably I think he would try to play today because he's just country ass tough dude. But Stingley, same thing. I think it's a little bit of caution, but the rookies, they've all really kind of shown something outside of Kenyon Green. I think there's tangible reason for optimism with everyone from Stingley to Pierce to Tegan Quinteriano. I mean, that's his 2nd touchdown. He looks like he can be a depth guy at tight end. Like there's been tangible promise, not just like, we assume that Kenyon Green's going to be good with really all of the rookies except Kenyon. And I like the secondary. I think Nick Caserio should consider maybe like some in-season extensions with Smith and Chris Moore. I think Chris Moore is a guy you want to keep around for depth and special teams and all that. Maybe just get that out of the way.
I need to look at Smith. I should know this. I don't know Smith's contract situation.
I think Smith signed a 1 year. Smith signed a 1 year, and Desmond King signed a 2 year. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I looked at it. I looked at it up during the game today. Yeah. So
So Smith is a free agent.
King's got the 2 year. Tremont Smith's got the 1 year.
I mean,
we can.
The secondary's done a good job.
The secondary's mean, man.
The secondary today, without their 2 best cornerbacks, looked better than the secondary did most any time last year. Like, think about that. The secondary today, missing the top 2 cornerbacks, looked better than the secondary did at all last year. Like, that's a really good job to have the level of depth and improvement on that in that secondary. You can for sure say the secondary is a better unit a year later. You can for sure say that the offensive line is playing better a year later. And
very much so.
Those are 2 things that you can definitely take home from this season.
O-line's playing better. I mean, they allowed 1 sack, 5 quarterbacks.
Did you like moving Titus back to guard?
I despise that move.
I don't like it, although I will say I understand the logic.
He was a mauler today.
Yeah, he was up on Chris Jones. He's finding his groove, man. He's finding his.
They clearly did that because they're like, hey, Kansas City's not going to beat us pass rushing on the outside, and if they're going to kill us with their pass rush, it's going to be 95. So
what if they did it because they wanted Charlie Heck to play in front of his dad?
Yeah, I saw that little. You were at the game, so they showed this little.
I
thing
asked Charlie Heck about that. I was like, what's up? Did you like put in a word here or something like that?
Yeah. Would the Texans start Charlie Heck for that reason?
Well, Heck's better at right tackle than Justin McCray is at left guard.
That is true.
It's a fair
That
take.
is true.
Charlie Heck gets crapped on a lot, and
he's a good swing tackle. He's a good swing tackle. I know some Texans
fans make fun of him, but he is absolutely what you'd like for your backup tackle.
Yeah, he's a great swing tackle. Not great, good swing tackle.
Not great, good enough.
He's absolutely what you'd want out of a guy that we didn't understand the draft pick when he got drafted, and he's turned into a depth piece on this team. That's a good job.
Davis Mills played well, but when it comes down to it, when it matters the most, he can't do anything. And he showed why the Texans should draft Bryce Young.
Yeah, I struggle with that because it's not a defense of Davis Mills, but like Davis Mills, like here's what shows you they should draft Bryce Young is that they've run a 2-quarterback system with Davis Mills the last 2 weeks, not him fumbling in overtime in that situation. Like, I think you're taking the one play and extrapolating the meaning of it too much. Like no Davis doubt. Mills, you should draft Bryce Young if you want to do that because Bryce Young is a good prospect.
God's Construction, congrats on hitting 1K. Okay, so I guess I hit 1,000. There we go. Goal reached. Keep it going. Keep subscribing at Landry Locker, Locker Room on YouTube. Stoots, tell them your channel, man. Stoots has a channel now. We got Stoots' channel. We got to get Stoots some love.
YouTube.com/@CodyStoots1.
Oh, can't win.
I like it.
At Cody Stoots 1, huh? Why 1?
Well, at Cody Stoots was taken. At Stoots was taken.
Why not at Cody Stoots 6'9" or something?
6'9".
What was?
I don't feel like one. I don't feel like 1 would be your number in football. You gotta put the number that you would have. So you would be from the 60s to the 70s. 60s.
Yeah, Cody's not really built to be a 1.
You could be whatever number you want in today's NFL.
Oh, you ain't number 1. I can promise you that.
If Lonnie Johnson can wear 1, I can have 1 behind my YouTube name.
Hell, okay. And the group chat is back. Shout out to the old podcast. Landry, how do you feel about drafting Overshown from UT? Depends what round. I mean, I don't think he's a day 2 guy. Maybe late day 3. I like him, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, props to him. A good college player. Day 3, maybe. Can we talk about the real stud on offense, Mr. Quitteriano? Hey, Stoots, he looked awkward in camp. We both kind of said, yeah, this kid looks like he might need. He plays a lot better than his body looks. And I think he seems like a guy that's going to only get better, only work harder. He takes pride in his blocking. This is a guy that can be the tight end. There's going to be a lot of attention paid to the tight end. He seems like a guy that can be a part of things. 2 touchdowns already. 2 tutties.
Here's another thing. He was hurt during OTAs. He was hurt a lot of training camp. Imagine what happens when he gets some real work and is able to put together some real practices and stuff like that. You're not really practicing this time of year. I don't know that the growth can really occur too much this time of year, this late in the season, but it's something to pay attention to. He has played well when he's had his opportunities, and that's all you can ask for with a guy drafted that late. Tight end and cornerback are 2 of the hardest positions to play in your first year in the NFL. That's statistically proven. And so it's very hard to be a tight end as a rookie. And you have to get used to the NFL speed. You have to get used to everything about the NFL. You have to get used to blocking in the NFL. And he's getting his feet wet. And it's about having a little bit higher expectations for him next year. And he's doing a very good job with his opportunities. So, what you're getting production out of a late round draft pick. Like, that's a good job.
Let's just real quick. This is a quick exercise. We'll have plenty of time in off season. Let's just go through the position units and how many guys do you feel for sure will be key contributors next year? Running backs, Pierce. That's it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, Pierce.
Hopefully.
I mean, Dario Gubawale has a contract for next year, but I wouldn't bring him back.
He's a special teams guy. I mean, he's not going to be a significant. I'm talking significant.
I'd have a new running back room.
When I say significant contributor, I'm saying someone that you would feel good about on a good football team being on your 2 deep.
2 deep.
There you go. Tight end, Quitteriano, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have a roster spot. He's a 5th-round pick, and then we'll see on the other 2 spots.
Offensive line, you feel good about your tackles. Kenyon Green, whether you feel good about him or not, he's going to be the guy.
Exactly.
There's reason for optimism, but he's going to be the guy. So
need 2 new centers.
Yes. Wide receiver, Nico.
So Collins.
What is Nico?
Nico's back.
I would trade Brandon Cooks for whatever I get for him.
Yeah, well,
Agreed.
they have to. They have to.
Excuse me.
They took
Mechie.
down his mannequin, man.
I would.
Yeah.
I would
Took down his
trade
mannequin.
I'd
Mechie too. Yeah.
So Collins, Mechie, Moore.
Yeah. And you need you might need
help.
2 up-end guys. You might need 2 like high-end guys.
They need help.
Quarterback, nothing. Mills will be your
Quarterback Mills
backup.
backup.
Secondary, you got to feel good if you can sign Smith and you have the same guys. Upgrade at safety, but outside of that, you feel pretty good about it.
I would if you had to spend money everywhere else and you could only bring back the starting secondary and like a couple of the backups, I would be okay as long as the investment's everywhere else. Like, I don't know that there's some sort of heavy investment necessary for this secondary. I would like better backups behind the safeties, but
yeah, safety. I mean, I would like Owens to be a reserve guy, and I think he's a good one. I don't mean that as disrespect. By the way, you know what was really weird today in the locker room line? I was sitting next to Matt Musil, and someone walked by, and she said, "Hey guys, hey, how are y'all doing?" And then she went up and hugged Matt, and then she like waved to me. It was Simone Biles, dude. I don't know what was going on.
Okay.
I don't know what was going on. I think she thought I was someone else, but I just played it off like she knew me.
Maybe she was number 1,000. She's a subscriber.
Hey, whoever. Hey, well, thank you very much. But yeah, I think the secondary is good. I think Nick, for all the talk about Nick, I thought Nick did a really good job of fixing the secondary. The wide receiver draft, that's going to be fascinating because I don't know when Smith and Jigba go, and I don't know when Addison go. But that'll be interesting. Yeah, I would re-sign Owens for sure. I know he's a free agent. I would bring him back. If not,
I still think they're overall in the obvious position of minus number 1, where you have the quarterback decision to make. You're still going best available player across the board, maybe being more targeted in free agency a little bit, and then you're going to see in 2023 and moving forward as far as like actually, okay, here are our weaknesses, because at that point you will have hopefully built it up a lot more than you have at this point.
No doubt. Absolutely, no doubt there. So linebackers, this is rough. Christian Harris, and we're talking 2 deep, good significant contributors on a 2 deep. Christian Harris and
Cashman's back for special.
Cashman's back. I like Cashman. I actually like Hansen too, as like little reserve type linebackers. I kind of like what they bring.
If Hansen's your 7th linebacker, that's fine.
I think Hansen and Cashman can be depth guys. Like for some reason, Cashman has like some sort of like wrestler swag to me. Like he's got like charisma or something like that when he makes plays. And dude, I don't know what it is about Cashman.
Today.
I like
Cashman. He had the sack on Mahomes.
Big sack. So yeah, I don't think Cashman's like a key contributor, but I think linebacker is going to be something they're definitely going to have to look at. Are they going to bring back Kirko, or is Kirko? Are we going to still be in the Kirko business?
How fun would Roquan Smith be in the middle of that thing?
Man, that's expensive.
Yeah, that's going to be expensive.
What are you spending the money on?
Somebody who's at a premium position. I feel like
Tony
I'm playing
Pollard.
Euro, Cody.
Tony
You don't want a middle
Tony
linebacker.
Pollard, a guard and a center. Tony Pollard, a guard and a center.
Okay, you still got money for Roquan Smith. You go get those guys.
You of all people want to sign an off-ball linebacker for this team to a lot of money?
How much money is he going to make?
EA Sports.
He's going to make a bunch. He's going to make a bunch, I would think.
It's in the game. Cody Stoots. All right.
Wait. So signing a free agent is all of a sudden a Madden move? That's weird.
Well, I mean, you're signing like Roquan Smith. Like, come on, that's going to be expensive, sir.
Okay. Well, you're going to have the 7th most cap space in the NFL.
And you are going to have a lot of rookies on rookie deals. The dead cap frees up. Okay.
If the coach is going to sit here and say, well, we're going to spend money, and then I expect, or the GM's going to say, we're going to spend money, then I expect them to spend some damn money.
Well, definitely. By the way, what was the point of that report where it's like NFL owners are wasting money on
I don't know. That sounds like some stuff that Mike would have reported.
I don't understand. Like, what does that mean? So are they saying that coaches shouldn't have guaranteed contracts? Are they saying like don't fire guys? Like what is the point?
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, where's that coming from? Like, who is Adam Schefter carrying the water for to report that on a Sunday morning? Like, hey, the NFL spent $800 million in buyouts and contracts of guys who are fired.
Who is that? Who is that? Okay, Adam Schefter.
What's the target audience?
How much money have they spent on players that they've released? Like, I mean, how many guys are getting paid? Like, how much dead cap money is there? Like, let's do that. I don't even understand. Like, there's always an agenda with these
always
reporters.
An agenda.
It feels that way. I wish that weren't the case, but that's what it feels like. Do you disagree? Like, I don't know what am I supposed to what am I supposed to make of that?
This is a league that has Black Monday as sort of like a marketing event. And now the league's own study is like, hey, you guys are spending too much money on fired coaches.
Like, all right, but what about players that you cut?
Like, they didn't know how much
Marcus Cannon's making $6 million this year.
Yeah. I do not understand that at all.
I mean, let's do that. Let's do those stats. I don't know. It was weird. I don't think it like impacts anything. And it was just kind of a weird little nug. They gave a spreadsheet. Is that what it said? Who knows? Chris wants to know Driscoll, the two-headed QB of the future. No. Where's Wallow? Kind of sounds like where's Waldo?
Good question.
I don't know. Although Jack Easterby did mention him as if it was like a revolutionary pick that Nick made on that Thomas Dimitrov podcast, whatever that was called.
Revolutionary pick.
I think it was called the Three Stooges podcast. Kirksey, not it. Yeah, he's definitely not. Seventh most cap space. Is that what you were saying, Suits?
I just went to over the cap. That's exactly where they sit.
And they can make a lot of room, especially if they they're probably gonna give Tunsil. By the way, Tunsil's already talking about like a 2-year deal, so they're probably gonna make Tunsil the highest paid tackle in the league per year, and then that's gonna free up some cap space too.
Well, without even touching Laramie or Titus's deals, which are currently huge cap figures, okay, and would be the final year of their contracts. Without touching either of those contracts and getting rid of guys who have no place on this team, you're up to $70 million in cap space. He's not going to make $20 million a year Texans cap. Get out of here.
He said Roquan's getting $20 million a year. He said that's the prediction. You're telling Texans cap about salaries? That's pretty rich, bro.
All right. Well, we can.
Is he going to tell you about what's he going to tell you about?
We can make a little wager. He ain't getting $20 million a year.
$20 million. That's what Cap says. I believe Cap. Are they still paying Brian Gain and are they still paying David Culley? Yeah, they paid David Culley. David Culley's loving life. O'Brien,
I'm
no.
not sure about
no longer paying O'Brien.
It's been a couple of years with Gain.
It was a 4-year deal when he got signed. So it was 2018, 2019, 2021. So yeah, they're done. They're done with Gain. And then O'Brien.
Didn't O'Brien get an extension after 19 though?
He did. O'Brien's rich. He's
definitely rich.
He's living life. He's living his best life. Shout out to B.O.B.
Could be coaching in New England next season.
They're paying Jack too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Whatever he was getting made, whatever he's making.
That guy. You see that guy like retweet people from the cheap seats are gonna call you out because they don't know and tell stories. It's like, dude, it's people who literally sat by you talking about you. That dude is the scariest kind of sociopath I've ever seen. Terrifying.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know who's number one. If Schefter wants to carry some water, put the documents out there. Let's see who's number one in this dead money. Because I got to imagine the Texans are pretty high.
They're up there. I think Ryan asked a good question.
This is good. This is good. This is going to lead to a whole discussion. This is why we love the comments. Keep subscribing. This is why we love the comments, because Ryan, our guy RC, asks the question, is there any shot that Lovey stays?
Yeah, I think there's a shot. The last two efforts have been good, but what's hard is it's hard to divorce this decision from the quarterback decision.
Sometimes divorce is a good thing.
Yep. So if you're going to plan to draft a
He said
quarterback
that.
number 1, which I imagine you'd have a decent feeling for fairly early in the process, like you have to ask yourself, like, do you want to entrust that quarterback's rookie season to this coaching staff? I can't see how you would want to.
You're thinking too small, Mike. If Lovie Smith's back as the head coach, basically the entire coaching staff's getting turned over. I mean, you keep the special teams guys, but let me finish. The entire coaching staff is getting turned over. So you're having a whole new offensive situation, okay? Whole new offense with a bunch of different guys, and you're probably going to make some changes or force Lovie Smith to make some changes on defense, which might include firing Lovie Smith's son. And so you're going to have a whole new coaching staff, okay? And so then if that team fails, then you're firing Lovie Smith. Then you're going to have another whole new coaching staff. So you're going on 4 staffs in 5 years, 3 in 3 years, because you had a turnover from the staff last year to this year. Not a ton, but you had turnover. So 3 staffs in 3 years, 3 defenses in 3 years with your rookie defenders. That's too much. That's too much. The next staff needs to get in here.
What does that mean? You want to keep the staff?
No. I'm saying that you can't make a change at the conclusion of 2023 by keeping Lovie, and by keeping Lovie, you're going to have to make a change ahead of 2023. So you made a change before 2022, you made a change after 2022, and then you make a change after 2023. That's 3 coaching staff changeovers in 3 years. That's too much.
And the other thing is, let's say they brought Lovie back for next season. If you're firing Pep Hamilton, which I assume would be the case, what kind of offensive coordinator is going to want to come into that situation? Like, they have a choice too. Am I going to sign up to coach under Lovie Smith for a year and then have the coaching staff be blown out? Like, how do you hire coaches in that situation? Assistants, if that's what it's going to be.
That's what the Panthers ran into this past offseason when they were trying to hire offensive coordinators. They couldn't even get Pep Hamilton, who's from North Carolina, to take an interview with them because their situation was so tenuous with the head coach.
He also has a son who's started off very nicely, very nice high school career.
Sure. I mean, you can get recruited from anywhere.
You love that.
Ancient times.
When I see that kid play college football, he better be good based on all the flowers you've thrown his way.
I said he threw the ball better than Jeff Driscoll and Davis Mills in practice. Yep. That's all I said. I did not say
you've been all over that guy.
He
better be the next Caleb Williams based on your hype of this this younger Hamilton fellow.
I mean, I'm not.
Mike, you're being pretty hateful right now.
Yeah, not at all. I have.
Why are you hating on the kids, dude? Why are you hating on the kids? Just saw him throw a few passes, man. And I was right because he had a good freshman year. That's a good point. With which OC would come here with Pep gone? Don't know.
That's the hard thing.
Go ahead. What do y'all make of this offensive, defensive-minded thing that we always hear?
Like, would you prefer an offensive-minded head coach versus defensive?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. So, in general, you would prefer an offensive-minded head coach for obvious reasons with where the NFL is, because as we know, you're going to hire an OC, and if you have a lot of success, that guy's going to be poached away by somebody else. On the other hand, you've seen examples like McDermott in Buffalo, to where if the defensive-minded head coach is good enough, or you think he is, like DeMeco Ryans, then let's just take the chance and see what happens, especially if it's a guy coming out of a deep offensive system like DeMeco would be coming from.
The last 5 non-Belichick Super Bowl winners have been offensive-minded head coaches. And that's where I want to be one day. I want to win the Super Bowl.
What do you think about DeMeco in context of that, Cody?
The positive about a defensive coach is it's if you can scheme it up and you can help scheme it up every week, you would hope and you would think that first guy you get in is not a one and done type of guy. And if he is a one and done type of guy, he's left you as an attractive option for other guys to come in. And so then you kind of become the spot to go to because, hey, that offense is ready to rock because they've got a bunch of young talent and they got a really good offensive line. And that guy, after 1 year, turned into a head coach candidate and got a head coaching job. So as the top non-play caller in football, I want to go there, call plays, and then boom, I'm right there. The tough part is that you got to hire the right guy every time you change over on offense, and then there's changeovers on offense.
That's true for sure. But I don't think I think the like traditional outlook of like a defensive coach is typically they're like blowhards. They're like hardos. They want to control the offense. I think there's a chance that like D'Amico Ryans is probably I think if D'Amico Ryans coming from where he comes from, like there's no way he hasn't learned a thing or two about offense. Like I don't think it's like the Jets right now. I know that they are quarterback limited, but I feel like LaFleur has done a pretty good job maximizing what the Jets have. Like even though they've kind of like come down to earth, I don't feel like D'Amico Ryans would like handcuff you offensively. Like Brandon Staley's like a new age type of defensive coach. And I haven't seen the Chargers. Like they've had mistakes because of some of the dumbass things he's done and they've been injured and stuff, but it's not like he's like halting the progression of Justin Herbert or something like that.
Yeah, you would imagine that D'Amico has a short list of OC candidates to where if and when he's interviewed, he's going to have those guys at the ready because that's going to be one of the first questions. But in general, if D'Amico Ryans didn't exist, then my strong preference would be an offensive guy, just because I think that the default is they're probably going quarterback at one. That's how I analyze it.
I would think that D'Amico would probably have the guys on the Shanahan staff that's currently in San Fran to think about. And certainly they don't have officially an offensive coordinator in San Francisco. So you could have any number of those guys.
Oh, they do.
What?
Well, they do, but they don't.
Well, they don't have anybody in title
yeah.
is what I mean. They don't have any in title.
We know who's holding the play sheet.
Right. Yes. That's you're making my point for me. The point is, even if you had the title in San Francisco, even if you have the title in LA, you don't call the plays. Callahan doesn't call the plays in Cincinnati. So it's like not having the title and not calling the plays in San Francisco makes it easy to move. You can't move laterally. If you have the title and you don't call the plays, you can't move for another offensive coordinator job unless your contract's up or the team lets you. Well, why would they let you? So there's no official offensive coordinator. So D'Amico could bring somebody from San Francisco. And I would think that he might know some of the guys on McDaniel's staff as well in Miami. So I would think that there's maybe a connection there with some of those guys as well.
I'm not really into this like offensive minded. I want D'Amico Ryans. Like I'm not. We can figure it out accordingly. I want D'Amico Ryans. That's it. I want someone from the Shanahan tree. But if they are going to hire an offensive minded coach, who do you want? Is Ben Johnson like I'm hearing 100 things about Ben Johnson?
Shane Steichen.
Yeah, he'd be one. Steichen would be another.
Steichen calls the plays for Philly.
The D'Amico situation reminds me a lot of where Michigan was in 2014, where the program's like down in the dumps. They had hired two failed coaches in a row, and there was somebody out there who was such like an obvious home run candidate because of the ties of Jim Harbaugh to the program. But it was a question of like, okay, would this actually happen? Is this actually going to like work out? Is somebody going to leave the NFL to go to college? But like everything as far as checking the boxes worked. And while D'Amico has not been a successful head coach because he's never done it, so the parallel is not completely there, but I think it's similar in that, like, God, this organization just desperately needs an infusion of life. And I understand that's not like a reason to hire a coach.
No,
but
it is here, though. It is
but
here,
here, if they hired D'Amico Ryans, I feel like there would be a parade. Like, I know that doesn't mean they win games next season or the year after, but like it would inject a lot of life into this organization because it would also show.
And he's
that they
also
can do
the best candidate. Like he's also one of the best candidates. Like it's not like you're just hiring. Like you're not asking Andre Johnson to all of a sudden be a coach.
Yes,
just so that people get excited. You're not saying, "Hey, JJ Watt retiring coach." It's not Jeff Saturday. You know,
you would
it's
show
not that.
You would show the ability, which they haven't done since 2014, to actually run a competent coaching search in which they successfully hire somebody who other people wanted. They haven't hired a head coach who other people wanted in the last 8 years.
And that's been my thing the whole, like, you just got to tell me why not D'Amico Ryans. That's really what I want to hear. Like, why not D'Amico Ryans? Because you want an offensive coach? Okay.
Well, my question
right.
would be, is the Texans' job for sure exactly what D'Amico would want?
Who knows?
I mean, what's the better option if he wants to be a head coach this year? Is it maybe the Chargers? The Chargers' job's not going to get open if they keep when they're beating the Titans right now. By the way,
and they have a
Denver?
super weak schedule the rest of the way. Like, what jobs do we think are going to open? Like
Denver,
Indianapolis. Okay, Denver will open.
Do you want to ride with Russell Wilson? Like, because you're stuck with him. Do you want to ride with Russell Wilson for a couple more years?
I think the franchise is good, but that's a hard sell for me right now if I'm Nico. That's a hard sell.
Maybe the Cowboys, but Cowboys, if they're going to go defense, they're probably going to keep Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
How likely is the Dallas job going to be open? Is that just like, or am I assuming that if they just lose?
If they go one and done, I think McCarthy's done.
Okay. Well, the Dallas job, I don't know if they'd go D'Amico.
Would D'Amico want Arizona?
Job. Why? Kyler? I don't know.
Well, he's familiar with the team, and he could he could kind of work the situation of where he's the top dude in the organization. Like, there's like, hey, okay, you need me to save you. You need me to pull you out of this thing. Well, let me handpick the GM then.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who wants that. I don't think he's like a power hungry guy. I think he's just a ball coach.
Kyle Shanahan didn't strike me as that, and then he got to pick the GM.
Kyle Shanahan didn't strike you as that?
Kyle Shanahan didn't strike me as some guy that had to have full control of the organization. He struck me as a guy who just wanted to coach the offense.
Well, this brings up a key point. Whoever they interview, if this job is open, the conversation about how much roster control does Nick have versus the new head coach, that is a tricky conversation, my friends.
Caserio made it seem like him and Lovey powwowed on everything this year.
Well, did they?
I mean, Lovey Smith jumped out of his damn chair when Christian Harris got drafted. So
yeah, that was a good pick.
I do actually think that there was Lovey influence in some of the picks. I agree. Anecdotally, that was my feeling.
Tennessee Texans' next opponent right now. They need a win because Jacksonville got the dub against the Cowboys. They're on the 2-yard line against the Chargers.
I would love it.
Left.
I would love it if the Jaguars made the playoffs.
Well, they're going to have to. They could go 3-1 and Titans go 1-3, and if one of the wins is the final one of the year, then they'd be in. So we will see. But they're second and goal.
Lawrence is playing at a very high level.
The Chargers just took a timeout though, so they're leaving 54 seconds on the clock. So it could be one of those types of games where
Herbert gets them into position for a last-second field goal.
Yeah, Herbert gets the field goal, or we could get overtime. Do the Chargers? How long is the tradition of the Chargers playing freaking close games? Like, good God,
I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah,
like, how long do we have?
Them and the Seahawks always feel to be in like weird games.
The Chargers are always the team that they go to at the end, and it's like, oh, we go live. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers looking to drive, and it's always like something fluky happens. It seems like it's the same damn thing with Herbert.
It's in their organizational DNA.
And it seems like it doesn't go their way more times than it does, if we're being honest.
By the way, we should point out Denver got the win over Arizona, so it's just the Texans and Chicago really for the number one pick at
Unless
this point.
the Texans win out.
Unless the Texans win out.
The Raiders just are an extra point away from tying the Patriots, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah, we got a fun finish to this. Although I don't know that they were looking at this Raider play. I think the receiver might have been out of bounds.
It's touchdown.
They called it a touchdown?
Yep.
Okay.
Play stands.
So does Foes on the white, but what do I know?
Play stands.
Play stands.
So overtime seems to be a theme today.
I feel kind of weird inside that I have to root for the Texans to lose because it's just
weird.
easier. It's weird because
it's not fun.
There's a part. Yeah, it's not fun, and there's a part of you that feels slightly hypocritical because you're also, critical of them when they lose, even though I'm rooting for it. But it's this weird position where like the roster is in such a state where I feel like they'd be better off no matter what, just having the number one pick, and I think it's important for the long-term future of the franchise. I don't know how else to really avoid it.
Stephanie, congrats on 1K. Thank you. Thank you very much. Todd Bowles' days are numbered. Maybe so.
Yeah, Tampa's about to hit
A rebuild like a mofo.
No, they're not even a rebuild. They're about to turn the Super Nintendo off and reset.
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Why not bring in some of those guys?
They went all in on Brady, and those days are limited.
What do you mean those guys, Mike? You mean some of their players or some of their coaches?
Yeah, some of their. I would have to look at it, but yeah, some of their players. Yes.
I'd imagine there's probably a few.
Who
of those
do you
guys
want?
Wanting to figure.
I don't know.
Where...
I now that I say that, I need a. Now that I say that, it may not make as much sense as it. I mean,
yeah, I want Antoine Winfield instead of
Ross Blacklock.
Ross
I was
Blacklock.
about to say. Yeah, yep. I would take Antoine Winfield instead of Blacklock.
A lot of people. You know what I was thinking?
What's Ross Blacklock up to, by the way?
I think he plays for the Vikings still.
I have one issue.
Does he play?
Vikings.
Does he play?
I think he's on the Minnesota Vikings.
I haven't seen him. I'm not like the closest Minnesota Viking observer. I will admit that, but I haven't really seen him that much.
I have an issue with the Kenyon Green pick. At the risk of being too obvious, but I was thinking about it this week.
Okay, go on, Michael.
All right, hear me out. My issue with the pick,
Jordan Davis,
obviously, like, yes, along those lines, is the default thing the Texans could have done is just take Jordan Davis or Kyle Hamilton, which somebody who's well educated as like an 8th grader could have done. So
Kyle Hamilton and Petrie.
So
you got to imagine they wouldn't take Petrie if they took.
If you go off the board to make a different pick, you better be correct. In that, if Nick Caserio had drafted Kyle Hamilton or Jordan Davis and it didn't work out, I would say, you know what? That is on me as much as it is Nick Caserio.
So you think if you're going to get cute, you better know what you're doing.
Correct.
That's your point.
If
you're
you
going
go
to
off
get
the
cute and you're going off the board and you're doing your own thing, it better hit.
100%. Absolutely fair. That is my.
They should have gone BPA both spots. They didn't. They overthought both spots.
I wanted Davis, man. I wanted that big monster. Everyone said though, well, he's only good for 2 downs. Well,
did they overthink it?
Downs. If you get teams in 3rd down and long,
finish your question, Michael.
Do you feel like they overthought it at 3 in terms of best available player?
Well, one guy played 9 games and the other guy is going to be an all-pro. So you tell me.
But they play the same position.
Yeah, but it's not best position available. It's best player available. That's what BPA
No, I agree.
means.
But what I'm saying is the criticism of drafting Stingley isn't like, hey, they tried to shoehorn a cornerback. Because the other guy they could have picked is a cornerback too.
Yeah, that's what
he's a better football player.
He's saying if you stay put and pick the wrong player, that's fine. But if you try to act like you're the smartest guy in the room and you trade back and you do all this stuff and then you take someone that you didn't expect, then you have to hit.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
Yes.
That's what he expects.
It was the smartest guy in the room move to take Stingley at 3, though.
I feel like that's a little bit of revisionist
Were you
history.
saying that at the time? Were you Sauce?
Yes, I was Sauce. I preferred Sauce to Stingley.
I was fine with either one. So I could be very wrong there. I was fine with either one.
And I think it's kind of, I'm not out on Stingley. I think Stingley's going to be a good player.
Yeah, I was thinking about Stingley. Like, it's obviously a disappointment that he played 9 games. The weird part is, like, I don't want to like crush the media covers this team, but like somebody's got to do some reporting about like what the nature of this injury is. In that, I get. Listen, I was here when Andre had soft tissue injuries and Jonathan Joseph and guys like that. Like, it's not like Derek Stingley had a neck injury to where you'd be like, okay, let's take extreme caution here. Let's say, God forbid, Derek Stingley came back and he completely pulled his hamstring in week 18. It's not like you'd say, oh man, he's going to be questionable for like week 1 of 2023. Like, it's a 2-month healing process with that kind of injury. It's not like a 6-month deal. So that is my confusion over the way that they've handled this.
They're being cautious, man.
Okay. Because like a mild hamstring,
you want him out there?
That costs you to.
You want him out there? Or do you think it's more serious than they're saying?
That's fine. I want somebody to report that. Yes, I do want him out there. Yes, it would make me feel better if he was out there.
He couldn't even. They were so scared of him being on the sidelines because he couldn't get out of the way, according to Lovey a couple of weeks ago. So it seems like it was a pretty severe injury.
Okay, well then
Lovey said they couldn't have him. They said Lovey said they couldn't have him on the sidelines because they were worried that if a play went his direction out of bounds,
dramatic.
he wouldn't be able to get out of the way.
That's my thing. Like, what? That's my question though. Like, so what was the injury? Like, they reported it as a
This
minor
guy's on the
hamstring
sidelines
injury.
in crutches. On crutches.
And wasn't he working out this past week, like on a side field? So it couldn't have been like the most serious thing ever.
Yeah, I think it's caution for sure.
It definitely seems like caution. That no question about that.
So over under. Let's make our predictions right now. We'll go on to Tennessee. We'll go Bill Belichick on to Tennessee. How many yards does Derek Stingley have? Or not Derek Stingley, Derrick Henry, excuse me. Derrick Henry.
I'm in the crowd at Price is Right.
All right, give me a number. Give me a number then. Give me a number.
160.
160?
Tannehill's hurt. I mean, I understand
He
he's
just scored a
playing in the
touchdown.
game.
He just scored a tying touchdown. They're going to OT.
I understand he's playing in the game.
Are they going to OT? Are you
Actually, they're
spoiling that
not.
for me?
Dicker just kicked a field goal. I told you this was going to be a Herbert situation.
Yeah, he made a great throw to Mike Williams a few minutes ago. Or
So
like
there
a
you
minute
go.
ago.
Dicker the kicker, 17-14. Boy, he's been pretty good this year.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Right down the middle.
I will attempt to pay for Christmas with over on Derrick Henry props.
Hey, this is a random. Okay, so you'll say 160? I'm going to say he's below 130.
I was thinking 135 or so.
Say he's below 130.
Maybe they did actually draft Jordan Davis. He's going to be out there.
Hey, random question. Since Cameron Dicker just won the game, it looks like for the Chargers and the Titans lose, so that
Oh
so
my
they'll be coming off
God.
a loss.
Oh my God. Oh, dude. Did you guys just see the way the Patriots lost? to
What
the
happened?
Raiders? They did the whole lateral thing because Ramondre Stevenson was at like the Las Vegas 30. He passed it back to like Myers, but he threw it back to Mac Jones, but Mac was the only guy left. And so Raider guy picks it up, gets past Mac, and goes into the end zone the other way.
They went to play pitchy woo woo, and the other team scored.
Yeah, there is a flag. I don't know who it's on. Yeah, I think the Patriots are walking. Wow,
Jacoby
they
Myers
totally blew
lateraled
that
the ball for no reason.
They acted like they had nothing to lose with the lateral backwards.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! I'm looking
That's a
at this.
huge
right
Show
now.
the replay, Fox. What are we doing,
Dude, they
That's
are
a
the
huge-
jokes of the internet right now.
Man,
I
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I needed one more Daniel Carlson field goal, so I'm pretty bummed about this.
Wow, we've had a hell of a sports day.
Holy crap! What the hell was that? And they're in the playoff mix too.
That's a huge loss.
Jacoby Myers did not try to just like lateral it and just like it accident. He threw that some bitch like he was a quarterback, and Chandler Jones caught it like he was a tight end and ran it into the end zone.
I think Jacoby
is
has some quarterback
incredible.
experience in college.
Bill Belichick is going to murder somebody.
Why was he dude? It was tied. Why were they acting like they were down?
Exactly. That's what I can't figure out.
Oh my God, Mac Jones just got mushed by Chandler Jones.
It wasn't Mac's fault.
Oh my God,
Boy,
that is horrible.
That gives the Jets a huge reprieve with their awful loss today against the Lions. Wow. I can't believe that.
They think
I
they were
can't believe
losing?
that.
Did they think they were losing?
The game was tied.
That was unbelievable.
That was Bill Buckner. That was Bill Buckner.
Have you ever seen that happen?
The Patriots are
No.
dead. The Patriots are dead. Until Belichick pulls his head out of his ass, the Patriots are dead.
Oh
God, I can't believe
God.
that. Chandler Jones, the cherry on top.
And he's kind of been.
Oh yeah, and he hates the Patriots now.
And he's been a little underwhelming this year.
Wow.
Can we play that every day on SportsCenter like the butt fumble 10 years ago? Because that play actually mattered. That
One of the
mattered.
worst things I've seen. Brandon says, "Laugh it up. We're 1-12-1, Cody." I would rather be where the Texans are than the Patriots right now. Honestly, I'm
There is
being,
an argument
I'm being
to
100% serious. I would rather have. I would rather be.
They've got a defensive coordinator calling offense for him and a quarterback who can't throw the football that they spent a first-round pick on.
There can at
The
least
Texans
be
are
like
about to have Bryce Young. I'll take the Texans.
The Patriots are on the mediocre treadmill. On the mediocre treadmill. That's where they are. It's rough. Oh
That's
well.
a fair point. In a tough division.
All good.
That's the
So there
type
we
of
go.
game. That's the type of game that would make Belichick say, "Trade me."
Trade me.
Patriots. So the Patriots going to be, or the Titans going to be coming off a loss. Patriots lose. AFC playoff race getting really interesting. Chargers feeling really good. Actually, that's a nice little
Yeah.
little cushion for them.
The Chargers should win 11 games. Honestly, if you look at their schedule, it's Cupcake City.
playoff standings right now. The Browns, they were acting like the Browns were still alive yesterday after that win. It was,
yeah, that's going to be tough. I thought, what did you guys think about the way Deshaun played yesterday?
better.
Yeah, I thought it was better.
The Jags at 6-8 right now, they got a legit chance to win this division. This is going to be, it's going to be a wild finish. So,
I mean, Tennessee should beat Houston, but then they finish Cowboys at Jacksonville.
So to put a bow on it, biggest takeaway for me, probably the best performance by the Texans. Good job by corners, physically dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. I felt like they were clearly the tougher team, not the more talented. Davis Mills, his best performance, grading on a curve. Of course, he wets the bed at the end. And other than that, sometimes when you lose, you win. Today was one of those days.
Yeah, it was for me their most impressive performance because I thought they were more physical than Kansas City. I thought, like, if you were to ask the Chiefs players, I think they came away with this game with some respect for the Texans and how hard and how physical they were. And I'm glad they lost because I think the number one pick is very important for this franchise.
Be honest, I was sitting there, and as it went to overtime, and as the Chiefs did not score on their opening drive like I expected them to, there was a good tinge there that I was like, a win would be nice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Davis
It
Mills
would have been a
did-
statement. I mean, these games matter for Kansas City. So
It would have been, the sky would have been falling in Kansas City. No doubt. It still might be.
I'd be really
Yeah, they're-
nervous. I'd be really
Yeah.
nervous if I was holding a Kansas City ticket to win the AFC.
yes,
or-
they're
they're
not
going to
doing
have a dissection tomorrow on their talk shows about, like, this is not good enough to win the AFC kind of stuff.
No doubt. Fellas, appreciate you. Stutes, appreciate you. Melts,
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
All right. That's the post-game show after every game right here in the locker room. I reached my 1,000. Want to keep it going now. Only going to get better. Appreciate y'all for weighing in the loop tomorrow at 10 a.m. We got a lot to cuss and discuss. We'll have a Texans player on Thursday. Earlier game week this week, Titans on Saturday. And we'll continue to look back, look ahead. And no matter what does happen, whether the Texans stink, whether the Texans are good, whether there's a coaching search, whether there's not, no matter who they pick at number one, we're all in this together. Have a good one, folks.